anxiety disorders, like bad anxiety disorders, it happens in 1 out of 3 people. If not at least every single person that has lived, they've had anxiety at least once. But for some of us, it really takes over our lives. We keep normalizing this, I have really bad anxiety, and it's become just normal. And that's what it was for me. I'm like, I'm so anxious. Like, that was this phrase I just kept using over and over again. And we don't even know, like, so many of us don't even know what anxiety is. But anxiety is fear, right? Anxiety is fear. I remember I was talking with an old friend of mine, and he was struggling with anxiety. He kept saying, I just have such really bad anxiety. I'm like, well, what are you afraid of? He's like, oh, afraid. I'm like, yeah, anxiety is fear. What are you afraid of? And then I talked to another friend who is suffering with anxiety. He had to literally stop working for a while. He had to take a leave from work because that's how bad his anxiety was. And it all comes down to childhood trauma. So, and that could be a lot to work through, and it could be a lot to understand and process and get very complicated. And there's a lot of therapies out there where you're doing talk therapy and you're doing cognitive behavioral therapy and all these like therapies for the mind, right? But anxiety, like deep-rooted anxiety, like the people who really struggle with anxiety, it is not from our minds up here, but it is in the mind, in all of our body cells. Because if we went through any difficult upbringing situation where they involved any kind of abuse, chaos, conflict, whatever it was, when we were younger, we absorbed that into our bodies. Because when we were younger, before we were 7 or 8 years old, we processed everything through emotions, and not very many people know how to process their emotions and regulate their emotions and cope with their emotions. And so, you know, we're absorbing all of this stress in our bodies. And even though we can make sense and make like a rational, like, reason, come up with a rational reason, or we logically know that, you know, there's nothing to be afraid of, but we are still so afraid, and anxiety is just taking over. So it's really about dealing with the memories in our body cells. So that's just a little bit more about anxiety and how it really works in the body. It's not really a mind thing, especially for us who really struggle with it. And I have